From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Adam Devine, and the directors of the HBO documentary Tiger, Matthew Hamachek and Matthew Heineman. With Gina Grad on news and Bald Bryan on sound effects, and now, still awaiting his nomination for Secretary of Getting It On, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on. You mandate, you get it on now. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Bald Bryan. We can all agree that bald is better than bad. Oh, man, I had an experience earlier today. I have been driving around my Z car, my 50th anniversary Z car, my miniature little car with the 6-speed in it, while I try to drink my coffee out of a ceramic mug.
But we call it the Sunnymobile.
The Sunnymobile, yeah.
What is with the coffee in the ceramic mug? Are you just being obstinate?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I have...
In a world where this problem has been solved.
I've made certain decisions in my life, and they are... well, good. I'm glad you brought this up after I brought it up, but I'm glad you asked the hard-hitting questions.
That's what I'm here for.
Since I was a kid, I never liked things. I didn't like paper plates versus a ceramic plate, and I hated drinking milk out of a paper cup or plastic cup. I didn't like plastic utensils. Nobody does. But what I'm saying is maybe it's a screw you to Helen Gorog, my dear old departed grandmother, because she was always 2 times a year, we'd go to my grandparents' house in North Hollywood, and my grandfather would barbecue some chicken on a hibachi, and we would eat outside at an outdoor table. And it was all great. I mean, as a matter of fact, Max Pata probably has pictures of it. It's when my mom and dad were falling deeply, deeply in love. And this
unbridled passion.
Unbridled passion.
Sorry to burst into laughs.
But my grandmother
You should hope to find a love like that, Gina.
That's right.
My grandmother was always a nut. Most of I don't know if your mean grandmother did this to you, Bryan, but most of my grandmother's things, the part that was most insulting was the fact that she just didn't trust you. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Where are you going with that Tupperware?
Right.
If we borrowed a movie from her that she illegally copied from the video store, there was a checkout. A sign-up sheet.
Form?
That we had to,
right.
Yeah, no, there was like a sheet on like next to her movies. Like, Bryan has this movie.
Right.
I was 11.
Which is, my grandmother did the same thing with movies. Like, I'd be taking, can I have Sophie's Choice? Jules Mandel was asking about that one. Well, he's not your fucking grandson, and he's not here. And I am. Well, Jules was saying that he was interested. It's like, how about I watch it? Well, if you do, but you have to bring it right back, right? Oof. Yeah, I'm bringing it back. Because Jules Mandel, I'll bring it. I'll just watch it, and then the next time I see you, I will bring. Well, don't forget. Hey, bitch, you know what? You caught me. I'm going to sell it on the black market. I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to start a new life, free of you and Jules Mandel. But it was always like, where are you going with the movie? Where are you going with stuff?
She didn't trust anyone. Like the note would yell at us on her behalf that she would put on her 2 VCRs, one that she would record movies off of from the TV, and it would say in capital letters, underlined, ! Don't touch recording. Like that's how she yelled at us when she wasn't there to yell at us.
Yell at you.
She didn't trust anyone not to touch anything that no one had any interest in.
Well, I'm sure this circles back to Adam being able to bring out the fine china to the backyard.
Yeah, so my grandmother was always like, if you had yourself a beer in a glass, or before that, some soda or a lemonade or something, and you dared to make the perilous 14-foot pilgrimage from the kitchen door to the outdoor table, she's like, where are you going with that glass? I'm going to the table. No. And then she'd get this scarred, foggy, she wouldn't throw anything out. So you get this old plastic thing that was all crazed and fogged and scratched, and she'd transfer it into that.
Delicious.
And even when I was 10, I was like, this kitchen is on a slab, and it has tile on the floor. And if I drop it inside of the kitchen, it shall shatter. And if I drop it out on the patio, it shall shatter. As a matter of fact, better that I drop it on the patio and then I drop it in the kitchen because it's less mess outdoors. But I started getting into these containers, and I was like, I don't like stuff out of the wrong thing. And then you travel, you stayed enough bad hotels, you come back with your bottle of wine, you have the Sophie's Choice. Do I drink it out of that weird plastic cup with the cellophane on it in the bathroom that collapses under the weight of my fingers? There's no amount of pressure you can put on that cup. It's like
you have to daintily hold it with like your palm of your hand.
If you literally try to hold it and not apply enough pressure to crush it, it will fall out of your hand. You don't. There is no happy place where you have just enough pressure. And then there's the black coffee mug. There's the ceramic black. So do I drink the wine out of the coffee mug? So,
do you guys remember that great scene in Sideways? Remember, he was saving the bottle of wine for decades. It's like a 64 Lafite or something, some extraordinarily rare bottle of wine, saving it for the right occasion, and his life's falling apart. And he ends up drinking it out of a styrofoam cup at a McDonald's by himself.
That I didn't want to end up that way. So, for me, I love coffee out of a nice ceramic mug. And I love wine out of a nice fluted, a glass with a stem on it, and champagne. I'm that way. I love beer out of a cold glass that's been put in the freezer. That's who I am. And the travel cups, or at least the mugs, or the travel stuff I've got with the sort of plastic lining and the stainless steel and the flip cap or the slide cap, and you have to kind of suck off it. It diminishes the experience. Remember, I'm the guy who holds the ceramic mug with two hands as I sit on the porch looking over the lake.
Enjoying the sunset, sunrise.
Right.
Smelling it, taking it in with a sniff.
You work so hard for everyone. You never take time for yourself. You're doing this and you're doing... Yeah, that guy's singing in the background.
Watching mallards molt.
Right. And I think, the only time I have is before this family wakes up, because once they wake up, it's waffles and eggs and packing the kids and getting them to school, and getting my husband's slippers and laying out his clothes for the day's work day.
And when everybody leaves, that's when you have to keep the body tight. Get on that Peloton.
Right. I've got to hit the Peloton. Well, I want to look good for my man when he comes back. In between, I have to go to Chili's and pick up dinner and bring it back and have it all laid out. So
there's two ways to look at this.
I do the mug, yes.
I hope you look at it as life-changing and not point-shitting. And by the way, now I have something at the top of my Carolla show Christmas gift list. Starbucks makes a whole line. Christy has 4 of them of ceramic travel mugs with ceramic tops. So you can get that ceramic. I get it. Like,
was it ceramic top?
Yeah, they have both. So Christy has a whole, like I said, she had these are stainless steel, but this one
ceramic.
It has a rubber lining, of course, but it's the whole ceramic thing.
There you go.
And you're saying Christy has 4 of them?
They do.
So my grandmother just texted me from hell, and she said her helper Delia doesn't have any. None.
Yeah.
I
So enjoy those 4.
So enjoy the 4. I don't know how you use them all at once, but okay.
4 cups. 4 cups,
Delia,
1 mouth.
How's Delia fixed for a mug?
Some people don't have any. That's all my grandmother's saying. All right, Matthew Heineman and Matthew Hamachek. I think I'm getting that right. Are they up? Are they hopping on?
The Mats.
The Mats. Hey, the Mats.
How's it going?
Good. We congratulations on Tiger. We all love documentaries around here, and yours is no exception. I watched a shit out of Tiger, and was excited to. I enjoyed both parts equally. So congratulations on that.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So we all watched it, and we have many questions. One. Tiger didn't show up. I mean, he showed up archivally, but he didn't show up for a sit-down interview until 2/3 of the way into the second one. Do I got that right?
Yeah, that's about right.
I thought it was a very interesting technique because I didn't see it coming. I was just assuming he did not authorize this and was not going to be involved with it. But then as his fortunes started to change. He showed up, but he was crushing it. So in the first episode, it was pretty much Tiger crushing it all the way through. So did you guys make a decision not to put him in the first episode?
Just to clarify, he did not, take part in the doc.
I was gonna say,
he did not.
You never sat down with these guys.
Yeah, no.
So we reached out to him right when we started, and his camp politely declined, citing a pre-existing relationship with another network. So we then reached out again sort of later in the process, and they again said,
no dice.
Mind.
Well, sorry for being wrong, number one.
It's all right.
And then number two, maybe by the end of the second episode, I was pretty buzzed at that point. It would have been kind of late. But at the end, he was sitting down and doing what looked like sort of contemporary interviews. And my first impulse was, is this their interview or is this a interview? But it seems so specific and so well integrated that it did feel like he sat down with you guys.
Congratulations, because as far as we're concerned, you got him.
That's a big get.
That's a tribute to our archival producer Matt Fisher, who is wonderful at finding the most obscure pieces of Tiger interviews on on some obscure local news station and stuff like that. So it's good credit to him.
Yeah, because I was watching and I was like, why would he go along with this? But then I also realized, well, once we got past all the gumas and we got to him winning again, maybe he did want to participate in the part where he had the big resurrection.
Adam, what's funny about that is, what some of the, it's a really good documentary. I really enjoyed it. And I see a lot of documentaries. Some of the criticisms I've read online are, I don't know what it's like I don't know what Tiger Woods is really, I don't know from Tiger Woods what it's like to be him. And it's like, yeah, no shit. That's why we're making a documentary about him, because nobody knows anything about him. He's one of the secretive, super famous people alive. Like, he's in the public eye, but you don't know anything about him. Hence, we have a movie.
Yeah, despite the fact that, he has probably been written about and done more press conferences and interviews than, almost any athlete on the planet. And then, despite that, in 2009, when he crashed his car into the fire hydrant outside of his home in Isleworth and the scandal broke out, we realized that we know nothing about the guy. Mm-hmm, and I think that is sort of what, at least for me, intrigued me about his story at first and sort of set us off on this course of like, who is Tiger Woods, and can we get to the bottom of that?
Yeah. I was just going to say, can I say, but to your credit, because documentaries oftentimes have, once you see it, you're like, I get it. I get the angle they were going for, and I get why they did it, but it is an angle. This was just this is what we can find out. This is who he is. There was no hit job element to this documentary. And that's why when Adam said he was in it, I was like, oh, maybe he was. And I just missed it because it showed as three-dimensional of a human being as you could get footage of and information about. And there was nothing nefarious, angle-wise to this doc.
I mean, I think that's what we, really set out. I appreciate that. I think that's what we set out to do, is not, make this salacious hit job. There surely has been enough of that over the years. And we also didn't want to do this sort of, glowing portrait of a man. I think Matt and I come from a sort of tradition of making docs where we, embrace the complexity of the human condition. And surely Tiger Woods is complex, like we all are. And so, we didn't want to paint him with a simple brushstroke. We wanted to sort of, play in the shades of gray.
The guy that we all spoke about was Neil Bolton, I believe his last name is, the National Enquirer guy.
Good guy, solid guy.
And I was like,
salt of the earth.
I was sort of asking, where do these guys come from? Who creates these guys? Like, what?
And do they get assigned a bow tie, or do they just gravitate towards a bow tie?
What kind of living conditions create these guys?
There's somebody in this doc that I need to ply with liquor and hear everything from. And I'm so sorry his name is escaping me, but the family friend who's
Pete McDaniel.
Oh my God, he knows. Not only does he know way more, but he is. I mean, that's someone you want in your corner because he was had the dignity to, he was loyal to the family, and he's like, I could say, but I'm not going to say. But he was also, it really stuck out at me when he said, Tiger's agent screwed up the apology. And I loved what he said. He said, he should have gone out there and said, this is a family matter. This is between my wife and I. But to go on this apology tour, I think was the wrong move. And somebody who knows Tiger so well and knows the family, I want more of him.
Yeah, he was great. I think in a lot of ways, for me, I think, and Matt, we knew when we were in the middle of that interview that he was going to kind of be the heart of the film in a lot of ways, and kind of the moral compass of the film, because there's a lot of what he talks about. And one of the things that he really hit home, which was important, was, and this really informed our decision making in terms of what was going to be included and not included in the film, especially in terms of the more salacious details. We were trying to get to the bottom of this question of who he was as a person. But Pete talked about how, one day, these are things that his kids are going to have to find out about. And I think that when he said that in the interview, it sort of started a mantra that we had in the edit room, which was, look, we're here to tell this story. We have to get to the bottom of who this guy is. But, we have to be cognizant of the fact that his kids could see this thing one day, and or their classmates could see this thing one day. And let's not put anything in here that's unnecessary to getting to the bottom of the truth of the question. And that was sort of something that we dictated to all the editors that we worked with. And I really am grateful, I think Matt is too, that we have Pete in the movie for many, many reasons, but that's, one of them for sure.
Listen, I'm not a fan of any reporter from the National Enquirer, but if you will pick up a spent tampon, I'd like you on my team. Like, I feel like that guy's a team player.
Let it go get her.
That guy was so creepy to me, and I always hate it when people go, if you're going to present this image to the public and you're doing something else behind the scenes, then people need to know what else you're doing. And it's like everybody presents an image that's flattering to themselves to the public, and then they go home and yell at their kids and drink some scotch and take a dump, but they don't publicize like that part. I love when these guys have to rationalize what they do. Like, people deserve to see this because this is who you really are. Mm-hmm. I fucking hate that argument. Where did you run that guy down, and how did that interview go? And like, what was he like off when the cameras weren't rolling?
Matt, do you want to take this, or should I?
You're all over
it. Yeah. Neil was the doc is basically inspired by a book that was done in 2018, and Neil was interviewed for the book and discussed all of the same things that he discusses in the doc. And so, obviously a large part of the film is about sort of the role that media has in the Tiger Woods story. And, part of that is this idea that, from when Tiger was so young, his father talking about him basically being this person that, as one of our subjects talks about, is going to unite the different races and tribes of humanity, and all these really sort of messianic, like large goals that his father had for him. And then Nike, when they introduced him, and then the public, and everybody was building Tiger up to be this like perfect being. And then when he slipped up and just revealed himself to essentially be a human being, all of these people that were building him up in the media and the public, everybody sort of turned on him on a dime. And so, it was obvious in reading the book that Neil played a sort of a central role in that because of the Enquirer's involvement in it, and especially because of the catch and kill sort of aspect of the Tiger story. And so
could you explain that story just for people who aren't familiar with the doc?
Yeah, AKA blackmail.
So basically what happened was, according to Neil, what happened was that they photographed him with this woman in the clip that you just saw, and they called up the Woods camp and said, we have this information on you. And there was sort of a quid pro quo where they would bury the story, and in exchange for Tiger being on a sister publication of the National Enquirer that was owned by AMI, which is the sort of the people that own the National Enquirer and various other publications. And so Tiger did it and nobody found out about it. And so, I think that it was clear to me and Matt that having Neil be able to tell this story, but also from the perspective of the Enquirer. And, it's not in the doc, but one of the things that's important to recognize is that Neil shortly, I can't remember exactly what year it was, but not too long after the story, actually quit the Enquirer and moved on to other things. But he was obviously the right person at the right point in time to tell the sort of perspective of the National Enquirer, but also give the perspective of the American public, which, had a very similar reaction to what Neil just described, which was, it's interesting because they spent so much time building Tiger up to be this perfect thing that for some reason, when he revealed himself to be a human being, and that's about it, because we're all flawed and messed up, there was this sort of, how dare you present this image to us thing. And I thought that, he did a great job of sort of explaining that. And it's interesting because the things that you just talked about, the things that you were disgusted by him saying, I don't think that's unique to Neil. I think that he just did a great job of saying, of explaining what the public felt about Tiger too, because, this is sort of a debate that's been going on for so long, right? It's the Charles Barkley, like, I'm not a role model, your argument, and so I think that that's a large part of the Tiger Woods story.
I love Charles Barkley because Charles Barkley got on TV like 4 days ago and he's like, hey, these NBA players should get the vaccination way before anyone else does. And someone said, like, why? Because they're rich. Like, they pay so much in taxes. They deserve it. And then I always like it when somebody tries to talk someone off a ledge. They go, but you're not saying that just because they're rich and pay. And he's like, that's exactly what I'm saying. Thanks for underscoring that for me. I just love that kind of goddamn candor in today's, cancel culture and button up, whatever. And let Charles Barkley be a shining example to the rest of the nation, which is, once you establish yourself as someone who says anything and everything and never edits your opinions, you get kind of left alone because he says shit that would get anyone, any politician, any celebrity, anybody else canceled the following day, and he never gets canceled because
it's Sir Charles.
It's Sir Charles. He's announced this is what I do. It's like Snoop Dogg doesn't get into trouble for smoking weed everywhere. Are you guys working? I mean, I don't know what you can talk about or how much you can talk about, but you must have other projects ready to come out, things we could look forward to soon.
Matt?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm a bit out of it. I've been making a film about COVID since March. I was filming in ICUs and ERs here in New York. And so been definitely the hardest thing I've ever done in my life and one of the more intense things. So I've just been watching footage just now, so I apologize if I'm a bit out of it here, but that's what I've been working on. Is that a
HBO project?
No, it'll be with Nat Geo and Neon.
And so. When can we look forward to that coming out?
I think it'll come out probably in the summer sometime.
And other Matt?
I am about to start on something in a month, but unfortunately I'm not allowed to talk about it quite yet. So I have to be coy.
Are we, are these good days for documentaries? Because we've interviewed almost everybody about all these great docs, and they all not only are the docs that they're currently doing being really well received. I think yours was I think I read the second most watched on HBO, second to Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
But everyone's got another project coming, and people are like starting to get paid. Is there been a shift? Is it a COVID thing? I did terrestrial radio for a million years. It had that format, it had that banter and that pattern, the clock and everything else. And then at some point, everyone said, you know what, we don't want Boomer and the Nudge in the morning and all the sound effects. We want something a little more real, a little more conversational, a little longer form where we can like get to know people. And so podcasting, came on like gangbusters, right? Is this kind of, are docs having a renaissance? Does this feel right to you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's, I'll speak for myself, is I think I feel extremely lucky and honored to do what I do, and to be able to sit with a story, unlike other journalists, and for 1, 2, 3, 4 years at a time, and really, every 2, 3, 4 years dive into another topic. For sure, right now we're living in a golden age of docs. I mean, there's the avenues to distribution have been somewhat democratized. There's way more outlets out there, and so yeah, I mean, people are watching way more docs than they've ever watched before because it's just easier to do so. There's more ways to watch. So it's definitely an exciting time to be a filmmaker.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would take that as a good societal sign. You know what I mean? Like if you just said to me, one society watches a ton of docs and the other society is waiting for Hobbs and Shaw Part 2, I'd say although I'd be in the
really
society,
the line.
I'd be in the Fast and Furious society, but I would say that's a good sign for I'd rather hang out with the society that watch the docs more. Like I think that's a good sign. Maybe we've turned some sort of corner. All right, let me give you guys some plugs. The documentary Tiger. I guess it's available now on HBO Max, and just put it in the queue because it's really good. And I will say, sometimes you see part 1 and then part 2 is a little bit slower or let down or vice versa. But these were very equally entertaining and excellent. Part 1 and part 2 are very different, but they're both equally as compelling. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Matt, thanks for joining us. And let me just hit Simply Safe here. Everyone wants to keep their home and family safe from break-ins, fire, flood, or medical emergencies. Simply Safe Home Security, award-winning 24/7 protection. Not only an arsenal of cameras and sensors, you get the best professional monitors in the business. They've got your back day and night, ready to send police, fire, or EMTs. These guys have been with us for over a decade. They're a great company. They make a great product. We all use it here. Set it up yourself in about 30 minutes. Then Simply Safe's professionals take over, monitoring your home 24/7, ready to send help at a moment's notice. If they hear the alarm, they're sending help. No long-term contract, no hidden fees, no installation costs. And right now, our listeners get a free home security camera with the purchase of Simply Safe and at simplysafe.com, 60-day free no-risk trial as well at simplysafe.com. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Well, some quick words on KFC. Feed the whole family and the whole crew with KFC. We just did today. It's a home-cooked meal you didn't have to cook. KFC, pick up or drive-through. Perfect when you're on the road and needing something quick. Or try KFC delivery when you're too busy to cook. In honor of KFC's delicious bucket of chicken, let's talk for a second about our own bucket list. I just had the KFC about 10 minutes ago, and it was so damn good.
Oh, you lucky duck.
It's the best.
It brought me just back. Quick bucket list on the KFC bucket. I got a bucket list thing. Gina Bald, you got a bucket list thing?
As a matter of fact, we do.
Who would like to go? Brian, why don't you go first?
Okay, well, I thought of a silly one that I'll get out of the way first. I would like, speaking of KFC, I would like someday to have a menu item named after me. Any place, a deli, or could be a high-end restaurant. Well, that's less likely, but I'm thinking like a deli is probably the way to go. It's a nice tribute, and someone could look up there and be like, "Who the hell was Brian?"
Yeah, called Brian Bagel.
How about a brick of Vegemite with a sunny side egg on the top? The sunny side egg would connote the bald head. And the brick of Vegemite no one likes. So I feel
this
like
is not the tribute I envisioned. This is not. The,
well, I'm shooting for something a little more realistic, you know. And the Reuben sandwich has already been
in
taken.
my fantasy. I'd rather not be realistic.
Why be realistic in a fantasy? Gina, you got one?
Yeah. We're getting to the point where I think this is going to happen in our lifetime. I want to go on a space tourism flight.
I wrote that down too, Gina. I'm 100% serious. That is
maybe we'll get a twofer.
And as much as I think that'll happen before our life expectancy expires, that would be an awesome thing to accomplish.
Yeah.
I think your fiance's rooting for that one too, Gina. Why can't she go to Mars? I don't get it.
Go with Bryan. He's harmless.
Yeah, now
got that stupid sandwich named after him.
Is that going to be so? The thing that's interesting about that space tourism is how much of it is bragging rights, and then how much of it is the experience. Because in my experience with experiences, I have this theory that everything feels almost exactly like you thought it was going to be. Like when, I don't know why I always use this as an example, but anyone who's never surfed, the first time you stand up on a surfboard, it does feel exactly like you thought it would feel. It can be exhilarating, it can be exciting, but it still goes, oh no, this is what it was supposed, in my mind, this is how it felt. But I'm trying to, and I wonder if I've seen so many space movies and so much footage from outer space that I just feel like, you know,
well, and not just space movies, but G-force from, roller coasters and fast cars.
There's going to be a there's a weightlessness aspect to it, right? Like once you're going around the moon or wherever you go, which you can't, which would be pretty cool.
And I wonder, and I agree, but have we all experienced that in our dreams? You know what I mean? Like, have we all had that feeling in our dreams? Speaking of dreams, I had an insane dream last night. Oh God, I'm gonna think of it. I'll double back to my bizarre dream that I'm trying to figure out in a second.
Were you eating a sandwich named after me?
No, I wasn't, but it was Vegemite with a raw egg on it.
What's on your bucket list?
I thought about it, and I thought racing at Le Mans would definitely be on my bucket list.
Sure.
That would be the thrill of a lifetime. Now, that's a tough putt in the bucket list department, but I still think it's possible. It's doable. You'd have to get with a team. You'd have to go practice. There'd be a lot of stuff to do. But
is the clock ticking in terms of age? Because I know Paul Newman did it at an advanced age, but not that advanced, right?
Now, Newman did it in 79.
Oh.
And
he wasn't 79.
I know, so he was probably in his 40s, right?
Yeah.
No, he was probably turning.
Oh no, yeah, older than that.
Let's see. He was probably my age. No, he wasn't 70 years and 8 days in 79, Max Pata. Maybe he was 60 in 8 days. I'm trying to do the math. Let's see. He died when he was 83. He died in like 08. So that would have been 25 years. So he would have been 68. Let's see, 70. Oh, no, he would have been 58. He would have been 58 when he did it.
Got time.
That's the math. That's the math I just did. But Max Zapata, well, just figure out what year Paul Newman was born, and then I think we can do the rest. But I would say doing Le Mans would be a bucket list item, but just going to Europe, getting with a professional team and doing a professional race in Europe would probably do it for me. So he was born in 25. Brian, you do the math.
50. He would have been 59-ish. I mean, depending on when his birthday is.
Right, or 59, right. So he was
60.
Got a couple of years, and I would say I was due to do a race in Belgium at Spa, which is a very legendary, big, beautiful, fast, big 4-mile track with like lots of elevation changes and stuff like that. And obviously going to Belgium and doing a race would be a bucket list item. So yes.
It's a little different than what I went to Belgium for. I went to Belgium to do a mime theater festival in college. So it's a little different.
In a race?
No,
Really?
we went to Bruges and to Brussels to do an international theater festival. Yeah.
What kind of sandwiches they got out there?
Ones that are stuffed with ice cream. Oh, people in Belgium love to stuff waffles, stuff crepes. They stuff everything with ice cream. It's phenomenal.
Really?
Pretty sweet.
Yes. Every time you poke something, you'll see like an oozing of vanilla or chocolate come out of it. Everything has ice cream stuffed in it, and they're all of like normal weight. The people, they're very, very lovely, very kind.
It's got to be weird being a gynecologist in Belgium in that case. That seems like a bizarre thing. So
now the phrase "more ice cream than a Belgian gynecologist" makes sense to me.
So I will go with I'll go with Le Mans first, but I think I'll go with Spa or some legendary track, maybe the Nürburgring in Germany as well. Once again, these bucket list items were brought to you by our friends at KFC. Swing by your local KFC for some piping hot crispy chicken. And do not forget, you can also order ahead at KFC.com. Well, there's your bucket list, people. Wow, I feel foolish that I thought Tiger was actually in that documentary.
I was about to say, like, you guys got him, because I remember all the interviews being with someone else. There was a lot of Rachel, you could tell.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And also he's come out, and Tiger's been quoted as, not being a fan of the doc. So when you said that, I was like, oh, maybe he just saw it and didn't know, what was going on before or after, he only was interviewed for his part. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's definitely happened a lot where people got interviewed for a doc and then weren't fans of the doc after the doc. But it looked so contemporary to me. Anyway, I'm an idiot.
Well, the other question I had, but he kind of summed it up when he said, Tiger's kids are going to see this. We don't want to pile on. But my question was why they didn't use that really famous voicemail that got leaked.
I was kind of wondering that too.
I wanted to know, but I just assumed that was their decision based on, not making it salacious.
What was that very famous voicemail?
We played it on the radio show, Adam. That was a long ass time ago.
Don't you remember?
I heard that's the first time I heard it.
It sounds familiar, but I can't remember. It was for
Rachel. Gina probably knows more about it than I do. All I remember is he said huge.
Well, wasn't this the one where he told her to re-record her voicemail, like re-record her outgoing message? That's what I'm talking about.
All I remember is he called Rachel, left her a message, asked her to do something for him involving either destroying or redoing something. And it was like, need you to do this for me. All right, huge. Yeah, thanks.
Exactly. Huge. And it was like, like, don't say your name. Like, hi, this is Gina Grad. Like, just give your phone. Like, you're just make yourself a little less accessible. Huge. And it's huge. And they didn't put that in.
Was he on the huge before Trump, or is Trump now bigly?
He now Trump they have different versions. Trump is the huge, everything is great and huge and wonderful. Tiger was more bro, like, all right, that'd be great, that'd be huge, that'd be great.
I wonder if there's there must be certain vernaculars that get kicked around on the links. You know what I mean? I wonder if the Trump Tiger links.
Did they ever golf together? There's got to be footage.
Look, they had to have golfed together because if you're a duffer like Trump, you always want to go out with the biggest, celebrity golfer or whatever. And I don't know, if you're Tiger and you want to play Mar-a-Lago for free for a weekend, or you live in Florida.
For God's sake.
All right. Well, if you can find that recording mix, but I don't know. I have a vague recollection of it. All right. So I'm looking at.
We have it.
Oh, we do have it.
To Jamie Grubbs.
Jamie Grubbs, yeah.
Was that one of his ladies?
Hey.
Yes.
It's Tiger. I need you to do me a huge favor.
Huge.
Can you please take your name off your phone? My wife went through my phone and maybe calling you. If you can, please take your name off that. And what do you call it? Just have it as a number on the voicemail. Just have it as your telephone number. Okay, you gotta do this for me. Huge, quickly. All right, bye.
Huge, quickly.
Huge, quickly.
Now, what did she do? She just kept that message and then sold it to somebody.
Sounds like it. It came out. It was a headline story.
Max Zapata has a story about being on the flight back from Naples, I believe it was.
Yeah, I was thinking of you when it happened. So we were on an pretty empty flight here. I mean, Bryan and Gina, we had our own rows to ourselves, and
poor man's first class,
and 3 rows in front of us empty, 3 rows behind us empty. There was like a total of 20 people on this plane, and
that's fantastic.
I know it was awesome. I could watch any movie I wanted and not have to worry about other people judging me. And I noticed that like 3 or 4 rows in front of me, there's this old couple, and they push the in-flight attendant button to call for service. And the flight attendant walks over there, says, "How can I help you?" And they point to 4 rows in front of them across the aisle and said, "That guy's mask isn't all the way on."
Wow.
Yeah. And so the flight attendant had to walk over to them and ask. It was 2 guys in that row, and one guy had his mask hanging by his ear. And he asked to put his mask on.
I think I know that couple. That's Marjorie and Harold Dime Dropper.
Yeah, that was them. I think I
That's
saw
the
them on
Stoolies?
Yeah, or they may have been traveling with the Stoolies. Yeah, it's in the Snitchbergs. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, so now with
in
these
front of them.
Yeah, it was well, they were sitting behind, so maybe they didn't know who told on them, but social distancing, everything, HEPA filters, all that stuff. I mean, yeah, to people from all on the other side of the aisle, about 4 rows in front of them.
I got to say, from flying, there has been the enforcement of the mask varies quite a bit from airline to airline, because the Southwest flight I was on a few weeks ago, they were like, if that thing slid under one nostril, they'd come around like up with the mask, up that. Other airlines, not so much. I mean, just it slides down. You take a nap. No one wakes you up. No one says anything. It's very interesting that there's very different ways to enforce this.
Wait a second. Is this airline related or business class related? Because on Southwest, there's no first class. And otherwise, you've been flying first class. So I wonder if the first class people get a little like Snowpiercer pass. You know, they're not quite as hard on the first class.
I would argue it's all first class on Southwest, Gina, but...
I'm sorry. I didn't see the new campaign.
If you must. Yeah, I don't know. And this wasn't the airline. This was the couple who dropped the dime. But
separated by 3 or 4 rows is pretty brazen. Like if someone next to you, a stranger, has the mask down, maybe a little tap, a little friendly, polite reminder, but 3 or 4 rows away.
That's about 6 feet.
How long into the flight, Max Bada?
And facing away from you.
Yeah, so that's about a 5-hour flight. That was about 3 hours in.
I have this thing that I'm always curious about, which is I understand somebody cuts you off on the freeway and then you flip them the bird, or they flip you the bird, and then an eighth of a mile later they're getting off on Victory and you're going straight ahead to Pasadena or whatever it is. Like, I get that. I'm always curious at people who make a fuss with other people that they have to inhabit the same space with for a longish period of time, you know? Yeah. Like the people who make a scene at a restaurant over a couple at the table next to them at the restaurant, and now you got to sit there. Your meal hasn't even come yet. You know, you're going to have to sit there. Now, I think those people have no nerve endings, because I would be going insane. The most uncomfortable thing I've ever done in my life was when we played a softball game against some other school when I was in like the 8th or 9th grade or something, and we beat this team in softball, and then we were all standing around after we beat them in softball, and they explain, the softball team that we vanquished, they said, "You're lucky we're not playing football. If we're playing football, we would have kicked your ass." And I was a great football player back then, and I loved football. So then I piped up, "Oh, you're lucky we're not playing football, because if we were playing football," and it was at that point a large woman of color, probably 13 years old, was literally on top of me, pounding me in the face while I was on my back on the asphalt. And everyone just stood around and watched. I'm talking coaches and officials and bus drivers and everything else. And finally got her off of me, which was uncomfortable. I was durable. I was fine with the physical part, but it felt very weird. And then her and her very scary brothers and some teammates, we all had to pile onto the same school bus and make a 90-minute pilgrimage, which felt like 7 days. I felt like a Jew going through the desert. It was like 40 years. Like we got onto the, we just had this big fist fight. This chick just beat the shit out of me. And then we all just climbed on the moments later because we were standing in front of the bus getting ready to leave when the Donnybrook broke out. Now we all had to pile onto the bus, and her brothers were like scary dudes, and they were like threatening me, and I just had to sit there in that stupid seat waiting for someone to go upside the back of my head. That's a memory.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
Speaking of memories, going back to the plane. Now that is the third time that I've been on a flight where somebody's told on somebody. I'm just glad this time it wasn't me because remember, I've been on a flight with you where somebody told on me for saving the exit row.
That's right.
Oh, right.
I've also been on a flight where somebody told on me for being on my cell phone while we're getting ready for takeoff.
Wow. Jesus. I wonder if this delayed adolescence stage we're all in now, like I wonder like, hey, 40 is the new 20. Like I wonder if that has brought tattling back into vogue because
seriously,
this was considered uncouth for most of my adult livelihood, or most adult life, I should say. Adam Devine is in the wings. He's ready to go. We love this guy. Talk to him in a second. First, I'll tell you guys about Geico. Do you own? Do you rent your home? Well, you do one or the other, right? How about you bundle it with your automotive policy? Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too. You got so much to do all day. Just go to geico.com, get a quote, see just how much you could save when you go to Geico. That's geico.com. Let's see, Adam Devine. Let's see, from Modern Family and Workaholics and Pitch Perfect and all that stuff. He'll be on the show right after this.
And now Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Fort Pierce, Florida. A 40-year-old man was angry that another man had ruined the chicken he was grilling on the beach and attacked him with a boat anchor. Definitely not a Jew.
Adam Devine is our guest. He's got a musical we can talk about in a second called Iceboy, and you can go to playhouselive.org, or you can download their app as well. Good to see you again, Adam.
Yeah, Adam, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. Congratulations on all the success.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm at the peak, aren't I?
Well, I've made a pretty nice career for yourself. And
yeah, I eked one out. I'm still eking.
I forgot about the Pitch Perfect musical connection. Is that?
Yeah, and for a second you were like, he's dipping into musicals. I didn't know he had that in him.
Well,
I think that's going to be the what most people think.
I would argue there's been good times and bad times to be in a musical in this nation's history, and now's a pretty good time.
What were the bad times?
The bad times were
there were never bad times.
All the times before today.
Okay.
Before Adam came on.
Not a Rodgers and Hammerstein fan.
Yeah, there was some, the salad days were the Tommy Tune days, of course. And then there was Bob Fosse. Yeah.
Sure, he's a person.
Bob's son.
Right?
Yeah, he's
Keep
a real person.
going.
And the list stops there, I feel.
And then that Wolverine dude went gay, and it all fell apart.
The boy from Oz, keep going.
I honestly, I'm not a musical guy. I never really watch musicals. I don't know anything about them. And same with Pitch Perfect. I didn't know what I was getting. I told the story on my stand-up special, Best Time of Our Lives on Netflix.
Oh yeah, a great stand-up special, by the way. I watched
Thank you very much. Oh, thanks. Appreciate that. But when I auditioned for Pitch Perfect, I legitimately thought it was a baseball movie. And went into the audition. I didn't read the sides, and then they asked me to sing, and I couldn't think of anything, so I just sang the Full House theme song. That was like my own. I was like, "Whatever happened to predictability?" And that's how I got the part. And so somehow I ended up doing these singing movies, which if you would have told me that when I was 16 years old, I would have been like, "Bullshit." I'm gonna be the lead singer of a punk rock band, perhaps, but I won't be in singing movies. And so this whole thing is pretty weird. But Megan Mullally, who I'm such a big fan of, hit me up and was like, "Hey, would you ever want to do a musical, starring me and you?" And I was like, "Hey, why not? I'm so bored. I've been in my house for a year. I will do a musical." So it's actually really, really funny, and I'm looking forward to it. Iceboy.
The Megan Mullally, Nick Offerman, they're quite the couple. They're maybe quietly the most interesting couple around, if you think about what they both do on and off the stage and the screen. Like, they're both are really fascinating people sort of off camera. I mean, I know Nick's wood shop is probably 2.5 miles from where the studio is. I've been there many times. It's pretty incredible. Have you ever been out to his shop, Adam?
I have not been to the shop yet, but I do want to score. I do want to score a table from Offerman. I feel like that'd be a nice piece.
Yeah, he does really high-end work over there, and he has a lot. The thing's kind of nice. He's got like a lot of young apprentice people that are there, like learning the craft of woodworking. My car metaphors, I got a million of them. I was looking down on your bio, Adam, and I'm reading here that you were hit by a 42-ton truck when you were 11.
32 ton. Someone embellished. And I'm sorry about that.
Big difference.
You can't trust the Wikipedia. It was 32 tons. It was a cement truck.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So a real heavy bitch. And I got squashed, got kablamoed. Ran over my legs, couldn't walk for 2 years. And that was you want that to happen in middle school when everyone's just so sweet and nice to you. That's when you want to have a dramatic injury to
you want to be on the sidelines for months.
Yeah, you do.
What
going into a new middle school, that's what you want.
So you were, what say, you were 11?
Yeah, 11 years old.
Tell us that story. I'm fascinated.
Okay. So I was walking across the street, and I was hit by a truck. It's a short story. It was my friends and I, we were going to go get, candies and suckers and stuff. And what we would actually do, we were like 11, we were like little pervy boys. We would go there and they had Playboys at this convenience store. Yeah. And we would go there and like rip pages out and then go to the woods and be like, "Oh my gosh, look at this." And so that was our game plan. And my one buddy was across the street. He yells, "Come on." And he's yelling, "Come on," as I'm a child. I'm excited to maybe see some boobies and, eat some sugar. But I took it as the coast is clear, come on. Mm-hmm. And I grew up in the suburbs. New houses were being built every day. So 3 cement trucks going up this hill while 2 were coming down at the same time. And I couldn't see across the street. And then I walked out after the 3rd cement truck and got hit. And this is all hearsay. I don't remember any of this. I could have just decided to end it all and dove in front of a cement truck. I have no recollection.
And
just as likely.
You had how many surgeries?
I think I stopped counting in mid-20s, like 26 or 7, something like that. And then I was like, a lot.
Wikipedia says 42 million surgeries.
Yeah. And that might be right. That one actually sounds correct.
And so you're like you were incapacitated for like 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, I was still doing stuff. I was out of commission for like basically a solid 6 months, not able to do anything. And then it was, I'd have a surgery, I'd be in a wheelchair, then I'd get better, I'd get up to crutches, then need another surgery, then back in a wheelchair. And that was just a sort of cycle that went on for about 2 years where I wasn't fully able to walk.
Were you an athletic kid? Did you have like dreams of, playing baseball in college and that kind of stuff?
I almost feel like that must be written on that Wikipedia page you keep referencing, because that's exactly my dream.
No, it's not on here.
You just read me like a book.
Yeah,
Adam.
I did.
I wanted to be a professional. I was like an athletic little. I mean, I don't even know how good I was. I was 11, so I thought I was pretty good at baseball. I was in like the all-star league of my like 5th grade team, but I want to be a pro baseball player. And then after that happened, I was like, oh, this isn't going to work out. But I kind of used like comedy and as a sort of a deflection of kids are mean in middle school and how horrible people can be. And then I realized like I can make friends not by playing sports and like being the guy that is like, yeah, let's choose teams and camaraderie. That way I learned to make friends just through the giggles and the ha-has.
Was a lot of it trying to break the tension of being in a wheelchair and being at school?
Look at my mangled legs. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, a lot of that. It's like I was kind of the like how like fat kids will make fun of themselves, like make fun of them being fat before anyone else can. That was me, but with a lot of funny crippled jokes at my own expense.
Did you have a good dad who explained you may never go to the show and never play in Major League Baseball game, but now there's nothing left but musical theater?
He's like, you work on your Iceboy. No, my dad is pretty honest and brutal. He was like, yeah, I mean, he told me, he's like, well, you're not going to be a professional baseball player now. But then he also was like, and who knows if you ever would have been. And you're like, okay, well, he's like, I honestly, we don't know. You could not have been.
Those side comments that parents did all throughout our childhood, completely unnecessary, because as a dad, that your kid getting run over by the cement truck, that's a gift, because you could say you would be the greatest shortstop the Yankees ever had.
What could have been.
Right.
If only.
Right. But you have to add that little side of...
We don't know. You were okay. You were decent in Omaha, Nebraska.
My parents had a good one of those when I was applying to colleges. They were like, what? They didn't go to college, so they were a bit mystified by the process. They were like, what schools do you think about going to? I'm like, well, I'm going to apply to this school and this school. And I'm thinking I really want to go to USC. And my mom, without missing a beat, goes, I don't know, Brian, that's a really hard school to get into.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
He did go to USC, by the way.
It didn't end up, yes, but it was a hill to climb.
That was when my dad, I remember being a little kid in the chair, and we watched a lot of Evening at the Improv. That was like our thing that we did together, stand-up comedy show. And I remember thinking, like, these guys, like, not everyone ended up being Robin Williams, like there was some filler comics within the 1,000 episodes they did on A&E's Evening at the Improv. And I remember going like, well, I can be that good, like I can be, maybe I won't be the best of all time, but I can be that good as a little kid. And I remember telling my dad, like, I think I want to be a comedian. And my dad was like, well, you're funny for a kid, but you gotta be funny to be a comedian. And I'm like,
tough
so
crowd,
I'm not
man.
going pro, and I got to be funny to be a comedian. Okay. He just wanted me to work on the railroad, honestly, like the rest of my family.
Did he work on the railroad and
yeah, that was the
live long day, or did he work
all
a
the
night shift?
He worked both shifts.
What did he do on the railroad?
He was a conductor and an engineer.
Oh, that's so awesome. Your dad.
So like as a little kid, I remember it was like kindergarten or first grade or something. And it was like, bring your dad to work or to school day. Mm-hmm. And so my dad came in and he was wearing like overalls and a floppy cap and had like a lantern and was telling us all about like, basically finding people sleeping on the train tracks as a railroad worker, and everyone was just enthralled. And then the next week the kid's dad was the fire chief, and he came with a fire truck and just blew my dad out of the water. And I'm like,
did your
time to get a better dad job?
But your dad, did he get all dolled up for the presentation, like with the coveralls and the hat and everything? Was that part of his normal attire?
The coveralls were like the floppy cap, I think, was some extra. He must have borrowed that from someone, because I've never seen it before or since.
And the lantern?
No, he has a lantern. Yeah, they do. They carried like,
oh, really?
It was like a flashlight, but it was in the shape of a lantern. So
I thought he came dressed as an old prospector.
That is,
yeah, he just has an axe.
That's like very Scooby-Doo. Your dad showing up in that outfit.
Wait a second, it was you the whole time.
That's right. Well, you were driving the truck. That's right, boy. Now do it again.
Would have got away with it.
You say your whole family worked on the railroad?
Yeah, a lot of my uncles worked on the railroad, and my aunt also works on the railroad. So it was kind of a family tradition. But not that my dad wasn't really pushing me towards it. And he actually ended up being very supportive once I actually moved to California and started to chip away at what I wanted to do. He saw the progression. It's such a foreign thing to be from the Midwest and to want a career in entertainment and actually like pursue it. At least for my family, they were like, "You want to do what?" No, we've never even been to California. They were like, "You want to go where?" So I think that it was a lot of that, as opposed to him not thinking that I had the chops.
Well,
I don't know if he still is pretty amazed by the whole process. Anytime I'm like in a movie, he's just like, what world do we live in that you are a movie star? And I'm like, okay, well,
God,
this one.
What was it about you that figured it out? Because a lot of people don't have that. I mean, a lot of people buy into their environment.
Well, also my mom is the exact opposite, and she's like, "You can be the king of the world if you want to," and I'm like, "I don't think that job exists, Mom." But so she's wildly supportive. My dad's more of a realist, but also getting hit by that truck, it was really just like I wasn't dead. So when I said I want to like pursue comedy and acting, they were like, "All right." Okay, you didn't die. Just frosting. you can give it a go, you know. You're not dead, so thank God.
So what let's do a little bit of a timeline. So when you got out of high school, what was the next thing you did?
I partied really hard that summer, and worked at a telemarketing firm. And then I moved to Southern California, moved to Orange County, like right away. The movie Orange County had just come out with Jack Black and Colin Hanks. And I remember watching this movie, and the whole plot of the movie is Colin Hanks is saying, "Hey, I don't want to be stuck here. It's just everybody's smoking weed and hanging out at the beach and just dumb hot girls, in bikinis. I want to go to Stanford." And I was like, I want to go there. That's where I want to go to. Yeah, I was like, I'm going to take Colin Hanks' place. And so I moved to Orange County, went to Orange Coast Community College for 2 years, met the guys from Workaholics day one of my improv class in community college. We all took the same, coincidentally, the same improv class, and started writing together, started doing sketches together. Moved up to LA after 2 years after my mom realized I'm not actually going to transfer to UCLA. That was just a ploy to get out to California. It was just me going like, no, I'm going to transfer. And then when the 2 years came up, she's like, "Are you transferring?" I'm like, I have 6 transferable credits. I took improv and creative writing 4 times. And then moved up to LA, met Anders at Second City and started making internet videos. And then we ended up getting Workaholics. It's that easy, kids.
Isn't it nice when you meet some like-minded people? I mean, I think all creative people have had that experience where you get out from your old friends and your old neighborhood and your stupid dad's friends and all your dumb counselors and teachers and stuff, and you actually start meeting people that want to do what you want to do or have that same enthusiasm, and you find yourself like at these all-night diners writing, till 4 a.m. and like making each other laugh, and you're like, I didn't know these people existed. And then how come they're so segregated? You know what I mean? Like, why couldn't I, if I had 3 of these friends when I was in high school, why'd I have to wait, till I was 30 to meet Jimmy Kimmel, and you didn't even know those people exist. And it's so, and by the way, they grew up in the same, bubble. They didn't have any of those friends either.
Well, what's hilarious is Blake and Kyle Newacek, who ended up directing most of our stuff, they grew up in Northern California. And I'm like, it's a world away from Omaha, Nebraska. It has to be completely different. But when I met them, it felt like kindred spirits. We all the same references. We laughed at the same things. We had the same type of humor. And then I didn't have money to go back for Thanksgiving with one of those first years. And they were like, you guys, you can just drive up and hang out with us and our friends. I'm like, okay, this will be weird seeing your bizarro Oakland existence up there. And then it turns out they grew up in a suburb exactly like mine. Couldn't be more the same. It was the exact same place. And I'm like, oh, this is why we both escaped. We all escaped and luckily landed somewhere where we met each other.
Yeah, it's and it's also an interesting time because when you get a little bit older and you get a little bit on a path, then you kind of know within reason, like kind of what the projects, the schedule, like you kind of get on a schedule. But there's that time when everyone's just dreaming simultaneously and you have like no idea what's going to hit, what's going to work, what the future will be. It's also goddamn exciting back then. And there's something about there's something about working a ton for free that somehow cements it. Sorry, I don't want to traumatize you with that word, but
no,
but it's the kind of concrete thinking that people had from your past. No, but there's that I have no idea what's around the next corner kind of thing. And, you get a little bit older and now Jimmy knows what he's doing tomorrow. He's doing his late night show and I'm doing a podcast and there's other things out there, but you don't have that weird sense of like, whoa, what could it, you know what it is? It's kind of like the very beginning of a first date where you're really attracted to the person, but the salad hasn't even shown up yet. And you're like, this is so exciting, but I have no idea how this is going to end up.
Yeah. And then you're like, you find out she's vegetarian. You're like, why did I order the wings?
Why did I insist on bringing my own wings to this vegetarian restaurant? Oh my God.
Can she smell the bag of wings?
So
no, exactly. I know what you mean. And also just like speaking on how much people would work for free. Like we made something like 80 internet videos with like, not just like how people make internet videos on their phones now. Like we actually like had cameras, we had a lighting setup, we had, guys working as grips, and we were trying to like mimic what we thought actual sets were like. And Kyle was going to film school, so he knew what a set looked like. And we did like 80 videos in like a year and a half, 2 years. For YouTube when YouTube first came out. And I'm 100 years old and everyone worked for free and no one got paid. And we all just did it, including the grips and the electricians, and which are also like 20-year-old kids just like us who are trying to find their way in the business. And we're all just excited to be doing a thing.
We used to have to tear pages from the Penthouse magazine and go to the woods to masturbate. We didn't have your you porn or your you jizz or your you cum or you got divorced or the you got busted by your stepson who walked in on you masturbating, or the you got fired from your job because your stepson filmed it and put it up on the internet. You are having to go to counseling with your wife now, or we didn't have that. We had magazines.
You're speaking my language, Adam.
At the very early stages of me knowing Jimmy, we were working on, we were doing radio, but we had all these ideas, I want to do this and I want to do that. And we had this show. We had the beginning, we had called the Cabasons. And we'd come up with this sitcom idea but it was like an animated thing. And it was about a family that lived in a taxi, and it was called the Cabasons. And we didn't have much more than that. But one day I went to Jimmy's rented house in like Canoga Park, California. And I just went over there on a Saturday, and he had taken modeling clay, but like the colored kind, all the different vibrant colors. And he made every single character in the Cabasons out of modeling clay. Like it must have taken him 3 weeks. And again, no money, no pitch sessions, we had nothing. He just on his own made every single character beautifully, by the way, and very intricately. Every character was made out of modeling clay. And I just like looked at them, and they're mounted on a piece of wood and stuff. And I was like, yeah.
You're like, you're going to make it, aren't you?
Yeah.
You'll never give up.
I had two thoughts. I was like, you're going to make it, kid. And I don't know how long this marriage is going to last. Those are my two. Those were my two
You
thoughts.
were right about both.
I was.
Yeah, I remember I did a stand-up set at the Comedy Union on Pico, and afterwards, someone came up and were like, "Hey, I'm a assistant casting producer at MTV. I just wanted to give you my card, and you know, you're young. We tend to use people like you in our dumb shows." And I'm like, cool. And then I went back to the guys. I'm like, guys, I've gotten in at the highest level at MTV. So we need to make a pilot presentation, and I will slip it to this person. We all quit our jobs, mind you. We quit our jobs. We all summer long worked on this pilot presentation, sent it to MTV. We don't have representation. We just blindly sent it to this girl. She no longer worked at MTV, and MTV never saw it. But we were all just so gung-ho after I got like one card from a casting assistant. We were like, well, this is the end that we've been looking for.
This is the green light.
Yeah, time to all quit our jobs.
Oh my God. Like, it is so weird when you're just sort of out in the ocean trying not to drown. You'll just cling on to a styrofoam ice chest or a gallon of milk jug that's empty. Like you're so anything. And if you meet, like if you think about that kind of stuff where you'll go like, I know somebody who knows Scott Baio's assistant.
Yep.
And I think this is a big in for us. And you think about all those people that had no juice at all, but because you had minus juice, their no juice actually kind of seemed like something. Just the fact that if you just had a business card that made you official, and you were way ahead of me in life if you literally could produce a business card. And if you had a leather holder for your business card,
you are the boss.
You own the block we were standing on, as far as I could see.
Well, that was also like, and then nobody checked me. Like none of the other guys were like, well, she's just a casting assistant level over it. Like there was none of that. Everyone was like, we're 100% on board, and I'm calling into work right now, and I'm no longer delivering pizzas. I'm no longer working at the head shop store. I'm no longer, my job was, I literally was a late night vandal. People would pay me to go like put posters up in the middle of the night, which you aren't supposed to do.
The post no bills guy.
Yeah. It's me just like putting that up at like 4 a.m. No, hardly making any money, but being like, this is kind of a rock and roll extra gig.
Did you get paid piecemeal? Like, did you get paid by the poster or by the hour?
It was by how many you put up. So, and then they would like drive around. You would tell them where you put them up, and they would like drive around and kind of like double check your work. And then the next week you'd get a check.
Wow.
Do you remember how much you got per poster?
No, I don't. But it was like, they would give you like a stack of like 200 or whatever, or however many. And then you'd try to get through the whole amount. And then sometimes you'd be like, I have 40 left or whatever. But no, it was like 100 and some change. It wasn't not a lot of money, but you know, at the time when you have no money, a few $100s, you're like, well, I will get to eat this month.
And then tell us about the Workaholics break. Like, how did that break work?
Well, that was kind of a thing once again, where like you don't know where it's going to come from, right? Like this insane thing of me thinking the assistant at MTV has any juice, but then maybe that could have worked. It didn't, but like this was kind of a similar thing where I was doing stand-up and I actually got Comedy Central let me do Live at Gotham, which was their old New Faces sort of stand-up show where they broke new faces of comedy. And so I weirdly booked that, and I went to New York and did it. And the executives were like, "Oh yeah, you're funny. We'll start watching your stuff." And then like nothing happened for about 2 years. And then out of nowhere, we were making all these internet videos and kind of just putting them out there in the abyss. And they emailed us through our YouTube account. Like, I guess you can, like, back in the day, you used to be able to like email through YouTube. You would get like a piece of mail, and we never checked it. And for like a couple months they had sent it and we didn't look at it. And then finally Kyle Newacek from the other room, we were all roommates. He goes, "Hey guys, Comedy Central said they want to meet with us 2 months ago." And then we went in and pitched some Workaholics, and they were like, after we sold the show, they were like, "We thought you guys were the coolest motherfuckers of all time because we thought you were big timing us. Like you, like you guys were internet kids and you didn't need Comedy Central and you were just doing your own thing." And I'm like, yeah, no, that's definitely how it was.
You're like, "I got 7,000 more posters that say obey on them to put up before I can even begin to entertain this TV notion you guys have spat out." Do you remember what those posters were like advertising?
It was there were some were bands. It was just anything. And it was some were bands, but then I remember one, it was like not my Bush or something. It was like an anti-George Bush.
Oh, I used to have that one too.
Oh,
yeah. And
wasn't there a show called That's My Bush or something?
Yeah, but it was like not my Bush. It was like, no, not my Bush.
Yeah.
And it's just me. It's just me at 4 a.m. Just
that drop.
Just just high as a kite out there, just putting up signs.
I'm trying to think if there was
Monster Energy drink and smoking weed.
If there was some sort of like chart of like jobs most likely to be stabbed in, I feel like that would be just above 7-Eleven night manager in Pacoima, right? Like, I just feel like your back is turned to the world. You're engaging in illegal behavior. Right. The only people out are fucking criminals and drunk people at that point.
And other night crews, which is what we would call it, where we were night crews. It felt like we were like Project Mayhem in Fight Club. That's very much how it felt like. And we're like, "Oh man, we are defying the system. It says don't post here. Watch me."
Did you guys? Did you ever like challenge another crew to a dance off?
I wish there's a lot of dance
poster off.
Hey, how'd you tear your ACL? I don't want to get into it.
Yeah. You saw that Thriller video, right? Oh no, wait. What was it? What was the Michael Jackson? Bad. Yeah, it was the bad one. See, screwed the pooch.
Give me the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking, viral, weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad. Stuff they saw on TMZ. Joe Biden, Kamala. Meet news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
First, we got a couple of hot tiger stories. They're a little different. First one is the Tiger King. So President Trump pardoned a lot of people before he left office, including Kodak Black and Lil Wayne, everybody. But he did not give a pardon to the Tiger King, and he was expecting it. So Team Tiger said, "We're as disappointed that the president did not sign Joe's pardon as were confident yesterday that he would." Joe Exotic, whose real name is Joseph Maldonado Passage, tweeted, "I was too innocent and too gay to deserve a pardon from Trump. I only mattered to Don Jr. when he needed to make a comment about me to boost his social media post. Boy, were we all stupid to believe he actually stood for equal justice. His corrupt friends all come first." Now, remember, Joe was convicted of plotting a murder against Carol Baskin, among other charges, but he believes he was too gay to be pardoned.
I say you're never too gay. That's something that...
Pardon Roger Stone?
You're always saying that.
Yes. Is Roger Stone gay or does he seem gay?
He's very
I think
flamboyant.
he seems. Yeah, I don't think he's. Is he out and about?
Oh no.
He has a wife, so he's not.
He should be gay, but he's not.
He should be a cartoon character.
Yes.
He shouldn't be a human being. He should be fictional cartoon character.
How long is Joe Exotic in there for? And then, as far as the pardoning goes, like, can you just willy-nilly? I mean, I guess you can, but it seems weird to just pardon people that are incarcerated for crimes they were involved in. You know what I mean?
Well, think about the people he pardoned that Kim Kardashian had a hand in. There was a bunch of them. You know?
Yeah, but those it's one thing to be released from prison and then pardoned, right?
Commuted their sentence.
Right, but it's another thing to be pardoned. Like, could you just go all of cell block D?
Right.
And San Quentin. I pardon ye all. The worst are the ones that get pardoned after they're dead. Like poor Jack Johnson, the black boxer, got pardoned by Trump, but thanks a lot. He's been dead for 71 years.
Yeah,
you got him.
Joe, by the way, has been sentenced to 22 years.
For plotting to murder Carol Baskin.
That bitch Carol Baskin, among other things. And by the way, animal abuse. We all saw the documentary, right?
How about nipple abuse? I can't stand guys with pierced nipples.
With the gauge?
It hurts my teeth.
Uh-oh.
I just, no, Ad. This is uncomfortable. Oh, my God.
I don't have one. You were scared for a second, though.
Ooh, first off,
got to show you something.
It hurts. It's got to hurt. Secondly, it doesn't help. Can it help? How can it help?
In the wrong crowd.
Like a sexual thing? I mean, I'm sure some people are into toe stuff and, butt stuff. People are into stuff. So,
yeah. I like to combine my toe and butt stuff to make the ultimate Reese's peanut butter cup. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you got your toe wedged in my anus. You've got your anus on top of my toe. All right.
This is just a Reese's peanut butter cup ad.
You want me to try it again?
He's just reading the copy.
Yeah. He's just reading the copy.
Are men, pierced nipple men, worse than pierced nipple women?
I mean, they're going for a different thing, I feel.
Yeah.
Aiming to a different crowd.
Yeah, but what's worse? Like, when I see the guy doing it, I'm like, ugh. But when I see it on a woman, I was like, you know what? I may have wanted to use that titty, but forget it now. Mm-hmm. Whereas I don't have that with the dude. There's a practical side.
Really? Because as a woman, I'll look at the woman with a bar like through a nipple and be like, she's a badass. And I'll look at the guy and be like, he's a douche.
So, I'm with you. I think she's rock and roll. And then you look at that guy and you're like, he's trying so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And high school was a rough time for that guy. And then you're like, oh, this chick ruled high school.
Right.
Yeah. So we give the nod to the woman with the barbell through there.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Guess so.
Oh. And then
I mean, good luck. That's going to be like a hose that's out of control when she's trying to breastfeed that thing.
And I've seen it frequently on women that have an ample breast. So actually, that'd be a pretty good gig. The guy did the piercings because it's like, hey, we got to ice it up first. We got to numb it.
But that is also the same guy that's like, you come in and a guy's just like, I want my taint pierced. Could you? And then he also has to do that. So there's ebbs and flows. There's the other side of that.
Yeah, because you're going to pierce nipples. You got to pierce taints.
You do.
But I feel like
equal opportunity.
If I was that guy and Gina walked in, I'd be like in a good mood. But then if Adam came in,
turn the sign from open to closed.
Adam would come in and go, I want my taint pierced. And I'd be like, Rob, somebody wants, I got to go on my break.
We got your specialty.
Yeah. I'm going on a Chipotle run. Who won? What do you guys want?
Good. He's been here almost a year.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I just got back from eating Chipotle.
Oh, no, Rob, get over
Rob.
here.
That's good.
Yeah, remember that was always one of those tropes in movies and sitcoms where they take the closed and they turn the sign, they turn the sign over in the business.
Classic.
Is there a taint piercing?
There's piercings called I think they're called like derma piercings, like when people have them on their cheek. So that's probably where they go next to their asshole.
I'm sure you could send a whole bar. Not that I really know, but I'm sure you could send a whole bar through the taint area.
Oh wow.
And so when one is piercing one's taint, it appears to me that there's going to have to be a sack wrangler. You know what I mean? Like someone's going to have to be.
Thinking guys.
Well,
you think this is a multiple man operation?
I'm thinking dudes. Yeah, I'm thinking
I
dudes.
was thinking in a world where episiotomies are a thing, that 100% that you can pierce the female taint.
Oh, this is interesting because when I hear taint, I think dude.
Everybody has a taint.
Yeah.
Haven't you read that Judy Blume book?
Do you guys think? Do you guys think taint? Do you think male or female when you hear taint?
I think male. I think male, but for sure both sexes have a taint. But
first off, Adam,
I guess maybe a taint is maybe men have a grundle, and we can give taint to women.
Oh,
taint seems nicer.
I always just think of dude and taint because somehow it's always like, well, that's that space between your ball sack and your asshole. And I'm like, I don't know a lot of chicks with a ball sack, so I've always just done the taint. But if you're gonna do a dude taint, let's not miss our mission here, people. Let's stay focused. If you're gonna do
that's on us.
A dude's taint, he's in charge of holding the sack out of the way, or like I'll put it to you this way. I've gotten my hair cut during COVID, and you get the haircut with the mask on, right? And then at some point, you slip the hoop from over your ear and you hold it with your hand while she cleans up your sideburns.
Right.
But that's your job. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
I think the position you have to get into to have your taint pierced is probably like a cat cow
That's what I was
yoga.
Thinking.
So
you got the legs up.
Yeah.
No?
I was thinking you're kind of on all fours with the ass up like Ludacris. Yeah. And so everything's just sort of gravitationally out of the way.
Good point.
That's my thinking. Thank you.
You may be right.
Okay.
Yeah, I disagree though, because what if you slip and they're about to pierce and you're kind of in a position that maybe your knees slip and they could pierce something else? I think you got to be on the back with the legs up, and then it is your duty to hold your nutsack.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you think there's a taint? You think there's a taint half full, taint half empty kind of mentality? Like the fact that I've always thought of dudes when I hear taint. Is that a taint half empty kind of thing? Like maybe I should be thinking about chicks.
No, I think everyone has a taint. Everyone has a taint. It's equal.
Right, but I think dudes. Does that mean I'm kind of a taint pessimist? Like if you said like, oh man, I was all up in this taint the other day, I'd be like, you're in a dude's taint? Like I think dude. Chris, do you think dude?
Yeah, I don't. If I hear taint, I think guy.
But you can't.
Dawson
I want to be the
yes.
guy.
100% guy.
I was all up in that dude, or I was all up in that taint.
Yeah.
I want to meet that guy who comes in bragging about some sweet taint love.
What base is that? Short
Yeah.
staff?
Hey, guess what? Last night I was all in that taint. Oh, you've never had sex before, have you? It's all brand new to you.
You know what? We've been focusing a lot on the piercing. I think we need to focus more on the taint too, because I'm sure there's dudes with tattooed taints.
Yeah, Chris, you Google that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I know there's women with tattooed taints because on one of those sex shows, they showed a lot of women like to get like a tattoo around their hole.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a star or like
Yeah.
like a sun, a sunbeam.
Yeah, a flower,
And
whatever.
it just looks like a bigger asshole. It just looks
right.
like a larger butthole.
That's exactly right.
It's gigantic. All right.
I had like a sonar.
That's right.
Yeah.
I like sonar. I like the old favorite, the handle from the self-serve frozen yogurt thing. It's a poop reference. I'll move on.
Get it.
I'll move on.
And I like it.
All right. We have any non-taint stories on there? Any untainted stories?
That's a tall order, but I'll try.
Please.
only included this because we were talking to the directors of the Tiger Woods story earlier, and he is putting the season on hold after undergoing his 5th back operation. While the back surgery was relatively minor, it's still back surgery. Doctors are confident he'll make a full recovery, and he should be back in business early April to play the Masters. But Energizer Bunny, like, he doesn't go down.
Did we find out? I know she's very private, but Elin
Nordegren.
Yeah. Did she remarry? Did she move on? I never hear anything about her.
Yeah,
she married the Perkins waitress.
No kidding.
Yeah, in a weird turn of events.
By the way, I like, I don't know. You tell me who's hornier, Tiger Woods or Arnold Schwarzenegger, because when you are Arnold Schwarzenegger or you are Tiger Woods, you've got your pick of the hottie litter, right? I mean, you can bang every starlet that comes to town. You're in Florida or Los Angeles, like you have at your disposal some of the hottest chicks on the planet. But you go with the maid who is, 5.5, and the Perkins waitress who's a 6, and you're totally into them. And that just means you are fucking horny to me.
That's a good comparison, because I was watching the Tiger Woods documentary and the litany of women, and I'm like, he has a type, and I wouldn't describe the type as beautiful.
Well, no, he had some beautiful women in there, but I just mean she was not one of them.
The through line was not universal beauty. It was a little Florida, a little trashy, a little garish, big hair.
Perkins-esque.
Yeah, big hair, makeup.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like he worked his way up a little bit, like when he was going to Vegas and he was having all the, ambassadors or the female hostesses escorts. Come by, like rustling up their hot stripper friends and bring them over. But the point is he's like one of the richest guys, one of the most powerful guys, great looking, super successful. He goes into a greasy spoon and he's like, that chick who makes $9 an hour, I want her to ride my cock. Like, I must have her.
That one can pierce my taint. I think it's like an addiction kind of thing. You know what I mean? I mean, like both Tiger and Arnold have to just be full blown addicts, or else Arnold was addicted. That's how he ended up looking like that. Tiger was addicted to being the greatest golfer of all time, and then also once you reach that pinnacle, you're like, what other addictions can I have? I can't go into heroin because I won't be a good golfer anymore. I might as well go into B-level women.
Elin is married to Jordan Cameron.
Dating. They're not officially married.
Oh, sorry, dating. Oh, sorry. I'm old fashioned. Yeah, because it said has a kid at the end, so I was like,
oh, look at you, Gramps.
Look at me. Yeah, she's dating him. I think. This guy's lucky because she's a beautiful woman, but she was also married to Tiger Woods, who was like the worst husband on the planet. Yeah. And I just feel like you could get away with fucking anything because you'll never be as bad as Tiger Woods, right? Like she could catch you beating off to whatever porn on the internet, or she could find a phone number on your phone, but you'd never reach the levels of Tiger Woods. So that's a good catch.
I just hope his favorite restaurant wasn't Perkins, because now he'll never get to go into another Perkins again in his life.
Adam, you're from the Midwest. You know Perkins.
I mess
These
up.
These guys
with
don't know Perkins. I'm from Kansas. Perkins way better than Denny's.
This is always Perkins. These are my favorite arguments that I used to always have when I was a kid, which is like someone would come in from Nebraska or something, and I'd be like, "You never heard of Dog and Suds?" And they'd go, "No," and I'd go, "Brett, this fucking guy's never heard of Dog and Sons." And they'd go, "We didn't have it. You don't know Dog and Sons?" Like, it's so... Because when you grow up with something, it's ubiquitous, right? Like, it should be everywhere.
Oh, you know.
And they're like, "We don't have a Red Robin out here." You don't know Red Robin? No. We used to go there all the time. I know. We lived in different places.
After every football game.
Right.
That's In-N-Outs. I like, for the first few years of coming out to California, I would have to like bring In-N-Out merchandise back home with me, like T-shirts and stuff for like my cousins. They're like, you have to get me one. I'm like, it's a cheeseburger. You can have one when you come out here.
It's a T-shirt with a picture of a cheeseburger on it.
Yeah, exactly. And a classic car.
You don't eat the T-shirt. You could figure this out. What else we got, Gina?
Well, John Mulaney has been cleared in a Secret Service investigation of a joke he made on SNL in his monologue last year. And this happened. It's been confirmed that the Secret Service did open an investigation into him on February 29th on that appearance of SNL. The focus was over this joke. Here, I'll show it to you. Okay, so this is the joke.
Another thing that happened under Julius Caesar was he was such a powerful maniac that all the senators grabbed knives and they stabbed him to death. That'd be an interesting thing if we brought that back now.
So that freaked some people out.
You hear about these stories all the time. Like they just do it because they have to, but do they have to?
They don't have to. They obviously, that's not a real thing. You know,
this investigation lasted until December, so February to December, and they did determine that he's not a threat. Yeah. So if they didn't have to do it, it certainly dragged out long enough.
But
I mean, that guy, I feel like that FBI agent was taking some long lunches. He was like, I'm still working on the Mulaney case. Don't bother me.
Also, it had to suck for him around the bureau, right? Because he'd be in the bathroom and he'd pass the guy, and then the third guy would come in and go, hey, Bob, how's it going with those teenage cheerleader abductions? And like, well, we got a lot of forensic. How's it going with John Mulaney, Steve? You blown the cap off that caper yet? Jesus Christ, because I can't sleep at night.
How's Operation Knock Knock joke?
Yeah, that guy was thinking a ton of shit. Number one. Number two, maybe this vigorous investigation is what sent John back toward the bottle. Maybe the pressure.
Possible.
Well, you know,
when the FBI comes knocking on your door.
Yeah, it's like it's COVID, it's lockdown, you can't eat outdoors, you can't get your hair cut, and the only people you talk to are FBI agents all day. I'd do some drinking that night. Like if a bunch of guys in windbreakers showed up to my house in unmarked sedans, I'd take a pop when they left.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like that's you made it though when the FBI when you can make a joke that's obviously was very silly and they care about that. Like that's when you're at the top of your game. Like I could make that joke all day long and the FBI is like, he's fine. We don't care. It's okay.
That cripple couldn't kill jack shit.
How's he gonna catch him?
I can barely walk. Give me a break. Forget about stabbing. I'd like to stab him in the taint. Anyway, let's get on to some A-listers.
Well, speaking of which, some more crime news. Danny Masterson pleaded not guilty on Wednesday to 3 rape charges. The plea was entered on the actor's behalf by his attorney. If convicted, the former That 70s Show star faces a maximum sentence of 45 years to life in prison. And this has been going on for this story's been around forever.
Which one was he? Was it the one with the curly hair?
Yes.
And the glasses?
Red curly hair, yeah.
Not Ashton Kutcher.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And who's he accused of raping? Like, it's women, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm. No, there was no taint, so we know it's women.
No taint. And he says like, rape is kind of, the word has been stretched in so many different directions. Like, I don't know exactly if it's like jogging in the park rape or like girlfriends or date rapes. Like, I wonder what these stories are.
I mean, you explain it because
I have the dates here. Masterson's accused of raping a 23-year-old woman between January and December of 2001, a 28-year-old woman in April of 2003, and a 23-year-old woman between October and December 2003. So these are old stories. And I'm just reading this right from the Wrap.
Wait a minute, but between January and December?
Yeah.
I feel like we got to narrow that timeline down a little bit, don't we?
Yeah, that's a year.
Well, if you just tell someone it was cold out.
Yeah.
But not
December and January, January and December.
It's January and
you're right.
December.
You're right.
That covers
Yeah.
4th of July, my birthday.
You're right. That's
Adam's
all of 2001.
I bet it covers all our birthdays, and I don't even know when your fucking birthdays are. It's a lot of ground.
I'm just going to read you the last paragraph of this article. It says the criminal case is separate from an ongoing civil lawsuit against Masterson and the Church of Scientology, whose plaintiffs include Chrissy Bixler and her husband, a bunch of people. In late December, a judge ruled that Bixler and the two Jane Does must arbitrate their claims through the church. Okay, so he's busy. And the story that had been written is that the church was able to sort of tamp down this story for many years.
He was a Scientologist, huh?
Yeah. I think,
and that's why
we're very involved.
We're talking about stuff from 20 years ago, this rape accusation. So they were able to sort of keep this at bay for a long time.
I wish a church had my back. Churches used to cover. Synagogues never really cover. They just rat their people out. Like, I know that Jew's guilty. Take him. But
it's because we don't want to shanda for the goyim. We don't want to be associated. We have to cast them out.
Yeah,
that's probably better though in the grand scheme of things. That's probably better.
I want that for our society.
Yeah,
but for me personally, I want a church covering my ass. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah, personally, for sure, you want the back of the church.
When I'm interviewing churches, I'm going to be asking a lot of questions, like, "How you guys at circling the wagons when the shit really goes down?"
Hypothetically, let's just say.
Excuse me? Was there a like a patron saint of not ratting out churchgoers? What do we got here?
Of parishioners, that's a different story.
Bitches get stitches.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep an eye on that. I'll be on the lookout for you.
I'm looking at Saint Finbar out here in Burbank because I feel I got a good feeling about that crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I know where they are. Yeah, they're on the way to the studio.
I'm not going to be all obvious about it. I mean, I'm going to be like, look, I'm not planning on doing anything, but obviously shit does happen.
I think if you're going to ask that question, you have to make a sizable donation.
You got to come with some money.
Yeah.
Or they're not gonna want you got to go with the obvious choice. You got to look at Catholics first with the priests and the diddling and the covering up.
Right.
Yeah, they've got a long history of it.
They know how to move people around.
Mm-hmm. That's where I start going. We've all done a few things we're not proud of, but we're not judging. We don't judge.
Adam pops up hosting Joe Rogan's podcast.
All right. Shall we bring it home, Gina Grad?
I think we have to. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, let's not forget about Adam Devine, who I'm more in love with than I was even before this interview. With all his free-flowing taint talk. And
that really rolled off the tongue. Yeah. It was hard pulling information out of me before, but as soon as we got on the taint subject,
he sung
you really came alive.
Like a taint canary. Iceboy is the name of the musical, and what you should do, you should go to playhouselive.org, or you can download their app and the podcast. This is important. New episodes every week on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Let me just give you a last word from Liquid IV. I love this stuff. I tell you guys, I always travel with it. It's very compact. You put it in your bottle of water. You shake it up. They have the energy multiplier, which is a game changer, man. One stick is like drinking 2 cups of coffee. All natural alternative to processed energy drinks. Again, it gives you good energy, but you don't bottom out and you don't feel jittery. Half of all Americans struggle with daily fatigue, lack of motivation, poor mood, decreased focus. This fixes that. I like the lemon flavor because I'm kind of old school. Clean ingredients, non-GMO, vegan, and gluten, dairy, and soy-free. Extremely convenient packaging. Like I said, pack it with you when you travel. It's Liquid IV, right, Dawson?
Grab your energy Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code ADAM at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you use promo code ADAM at liquidiv.com. Start fueling your adventures today at liquidiv.com. Promo code ADAM.
And you should check out Tiger, the documentary on HBO. I want to thank Matthew Heineman and Matthew Hamachek for coming in or zooming in as well. And until next time, this is Adam for Matt and Adam and Gina and Bald Bryan saying mahalo.